Foundation 45 is a 501c3 nonprofit that funds counseling services for mental health, addiction, and suicide survivors. In addition to providing services, it works to break the stigma surrounding these topics. Foundation 45 recognizes that musicians, artists, and creative types are often at a higher risk for issues with mental health and addiction. The organization's goal is to serve the Dallas-Fort Worth creative community by providing free, top-tier mental health and recovery services. You can learn more about Foundation 45 at foundation45.org. Foundation 45. Live fast, die old. I'm Andrew Sherman. I'm a Texas transplant who has always been in pursuit of art as a career. I've played in bands, pursued an acting career in Hollywood, but I found it behind the lens of a camera here in Dallas, Texas. I was born in New York, I've lived in Chicago, Los Angeles, Austin, but I love Dallas. There's a magical artistic scene in Dallas that mostly goes unnoticed to the outside world. This podcast is focused on what makes it so special and the people who make it thrive artistically. If you don't live here, and even if you do, you might not have heard of them. This is the Dallas Famous Podcast. So who you gonna be? Who you gonna be when you're all grown up? Who you gonna be? Who you gonna be when you're all for us? Yeah. This week on the Dallas Famous Podcast, we have Surtzy. Surtzy is truly a fascinating woman who has many artistic skills and talents. She's a model, photographer, fashion designer, artist, aerialist, and she's delving into podcasting and music. She holds a degree in anthropology and a master's in sociology. Her many interests come from a curiosity and a drive to enjoy life through all possible artistic expressions, as well as a strong thirst for knowledge. Surtzy has an infectious charm, and this chat turns into more of a conversation, which I think is kind of a nice break from the usual format. I know you'll dig her. Here's Surtzy. Hello, we are back at the Deep Ellum Community Center. We've got the lovely Surtzy with us. Surtzy, I mean, I've heard of Renaissance men, women. You're actor, singer, model, artist, designer, content creator, aerialist, photographer, dancer, poet, podcaster. You've got a degree in anthropology and a master's in sociology. What did I miss?
That's all I can think of for right now.
Okay,
There's so much.
That's a lot. All right, well, let's just start with this. Like, you got all of these interests and stuff that you do in a dream world right this minute. I know it could change for you. What would you do right now if you could do any of those things?
I wish I could. This is an issue I've been working on. It's getting it all in a fluid routine, like where I wake up and I'm like, okay, so 30 minutes for this thing, like maybe practicing photography, and then 30 minutes like doing a little like version of a poem, like, or a draft or something, and just like going through all of them. But because I can't pick, it'd be impossible.
Right. Okay. So it's more like you kind of go where somebody's calling you.
A lot of the stuff that I've been doing is like things that I've been trying to compose.
Okay.
And it's been hard trying to get that worked out because of the team.
So, okay, so what you're saying is you are trying to be the creator. You're trying to create your own.
Yeah, they're all things that I'm thinking of in my mind that I have to get into real life.
Okay.
So it's been hard to get like the tools and the backdrops and like the specific, like the music programs and just like figuring out all this stuff. I have to learn like so many things.
Okay. All right, we're going to break that down because there's a lot there. Let's start with, so I looked you up a little bit, obviously, or I wouldn't have had that great intro. That was fabulous. Lexington, you're from Lexington?
Yes, that's where I was born.
And your dad was an artist?
Yes, he actually just did a live show with me. I think it was about 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
We painted a dress for a fashion show.
Oh, cool.
It was so fun.
Okay.
It was the first time we performed together. We've done it like separate, but first time together.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it was exciting.
So I feel like having him as your dad doing artistic stuff, like that's kind of what started your interest?
It made it like obvious that you didn't have to pick a certain path, which is what a lot of people think they have to do. They have to, or at least in Lexington, Kentucky, it feels like they funnel people from like school to like college to then the workforce, and that's the only thing they do, and it's their whole personality. And then I was like, well, he did it. He made a whole life out of art, and so maybe I can try it too. But he paints mostly.
Okay, so he was more specified into.
Oh, he also has a band, so it's like those two things.
Okay, well that's still just two things. I mean, where did it start for you? Like, what was the first kind of endeavor that you were like interested in? And
Well, since I was 4, I've been modeling.
okay,
I kind of would just throw myself in front of it and be like, hello,
all right.
in front of the cameras.
And you've done a lot of I mean, you've done runway, you've done
Yeah.
like fashion shows, you've done magazines.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things where people picked me for.
Okay.
And I just was like, yeah, that seems like fun. And
Yeah.
it just keeps happening over and over again.
Okay. So you're not really even working at that. It just sort of.
I have concepts that I want to do, but a lot of it's really complex, like sci-fi and things that I would probably have to learn how to start.
Well, so let me stop you for a second. When you say you have concepts, so that's wouldn't be a paying gig, or would you make some kind of money, or that's not the point?
I guess it depends on if I get lucky enough to find somebody that wants to pay me for something like that.
Okay.
But the stuff that I think of, they're avant-garde, and it's not that popular here.
Okay.
Here, I think it's more like car showgirls and just like promo stuff.
Mhm.
It's very different.
Yeah. Okay. So you do all that too.
Yeah, I'll do all of that, but
Yeah.
it's not like what I dream about.
Yeah, but that pays the bills.
Yeah, it does pay
Yeah,
pretty
I
well.
used to do a lot of
Yeah.
promotional work, not the modeling, but I would do a lot of events and shows and stuff.
Yeah.
So I get that world. So okay, so you're modeling. I mean, I saw you were at Milan even.
Yeah, that's Milan Fashion Week.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So like,
I want to do all the fashion weeks.
yeah. I mean, you're a legit model. That's like wow. Because a lot of people are like, I'm a model, but like you've done some pretty cool stuff. Like,
Yeah, I just get very curious. And like whenever there's a fashion week, I just want to like know what they do, what goes on behind the scenes and stuff.
okay.
So I've done Paris Fashion Week in France, and then Milan Fashion Week, and then New York Fashion Week as a paparazzi, which is different. Like every part of
okay.
the crew is a different experience.
Yeah. Talk about that. What is that like?
So it wasn't as fun. I got FOMO. Like whenever I
Oh.
would see the models come out and take the
Mhm.
pictures, it's only like a few seconds,
Yeah.
and I would get like kind of bored. But the models like the pictures that I got, so that was a win.
Yeah. No, that's interesting because like I've had a few people that are artists, but then they're also behind the scenes, and
Yeah,
it's I used to try to do acting and singing, and now I'm only interested in behind the scenes.
I want to
Yeah,
see some of that stuff.
Well, there's not a whole lot to see. That's probably why I'm not doing it. But
Oh,
no, it's fine. It worked out the way it should have. But yes, I've had a lot of people that behind the scenes as well as on the stage. So I mean, that's interesting because you're the first person that really is like, I'm clear that I'll do it, but I'd rather be in the.
yeah. There's some things that I'm just like I'll only do for pay,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like the promo stuff, for example.
Yeah, sure.
But it's fun, I think, to know everything that you could probably have the ability to do first,
Mm-hmm.
and then see if you like it. Because some people just never try it.
Well,
They never
sure.
know. Like some people fall in love with being a paparazzi.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or I don't know if
any-
that's the term, but it's called media.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
people. Well, I guess there's difference. Like, there's the people that are chasing down the celebs. and
They
there's
are
the-
chasing them down, though.
Yeah.
That's what kind of why I was like, they're paparazzi. Because the people that go to New York Fashion Week, they're usually very big deal people.
Yeah, they're not chasing people down. They're going to events. They're legit. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
there's a difference. Yeah, I don't even know.
Well, they do follow them after the shows. They'll be like, please shoot with me.
Oh, but I
So
mean,
I
it's
think
not like
they're sprinkled in there.
right.
Yeah.
But most of them aren't like staking out people at restaurants and stuff, or they are.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's like a lot of pictures of that happening. Like that whole week, people will dress up nice the whole time because they'll
Oh.
get pictures of them.
But
like,
I guess what
walking.
I'm talking about is that it's not like the sleazy ones that'll go like.
Well,
off
it's not
week.
harassment. Like,
Yeah,
that's- yeah.
yeah. I don't mean that. I mean like where like Britney Spears is going to beat you up if you get her the wrong
Yeah,
day or something.
it's not like that. Usually, everybody is excited about the pictures.
Okay, cool. Wow. So modeling, you do
So much.
acting commercials. Like Jason Janik is the one that
Yeah,
mentioned
I was
me.
so excited about that.
Yeah.
That
So
was Toyota.
Toyota. Okay.
Yeah, that was really fun.
So you're doing, I mean, a lot of commercials sprinkling in. Like, is there anything
I'm
that's
trying to do a formula where I don't do too much of one thing, like
Okay.
too many commercials or too much of the promo work or something like that, because I want to be well-rounded eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, so how do you balance that out? Because like obviously, like you said, some things you're doing for money, some things you're doing for love.
I kind of like keep a count in my mind. It's
Okay.
kind of messy.
Okay.
But sometimes if I feel like I'm doing too many, like I was an art model for a little bit for schools.
Mm-hmm.
And after a while, I was like, I think when I start to get bored of it, that's when I can kind of tell that I need to sprinkle in some other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So really, you just have so many different interests. That's what drives
I'm
all
just
this.
very curious
Okay.
about like everything.
Yeah, because I'm gonna be say the like some people are like, well, you're doing like 20 things because you can't figure out something. But
No,
this is the opposite.
want to do everything.
Yeah, no, I'm.
And I wish I had more time and more of myself.
Yeah, because you sent me your acting resume and it went down past the first page. Like, I don't know, whatever app I was looking on it wasn't showing me everything. I had to like keep showing because there was so much stuff on it. You've done a lot
It's
of
a
work.
lot.
Yeah.
And actually, most of that was here in Texas.
Okay.
So I think it's just such a hot spot for, like, there's so much going on. So many people and so many teams, and everything is like stirring up. It feels like a interesting historical time.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, with like the music for me is what I'm focusing on.
Yeah, there's like just with the music industry, it's so much.
Yeah, it's crazy. You do a lot. Okay, wait. We're still talking about photography. On your resume, it said artistic nude we draw. Is that like you're shooting that or you're posing that?
I do both sides of the camera sometimes with a tripod, and then you're
shooting yourself basically.
Oh, yeah, but then I also, for the photography side, I do a lot of landscapes and like senior portrait style things, which is not my favorite. I love shooting animals.
Oh, really? Yeah, me
cute.
too, actually. Yeah, I do too. I made really good friends with the squirrel last
they're
year.
so sweet.
Yeah,
if you feed them, they'll pose and they'll smile and stuff.
They will stay for a while. Yeah, got some good ones. Okay, also, like, let's talk quickly about the aerialist stuff. How did that happen?
So I was an exotic dancer during college because I really prioritized my grades, and I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to be getting paid minimum wage plus getting good grades? And it's not possible. Sure. I don't know how people do that, but I've seen it happen, and like some people can do it, but I couldn't do it. My grades would just start declining really fast. Mm-hmm. So then I would only work 1 month or 1 day out of the month. And that's how I did it.
Oh, wow.
And then I was like, this is really fun. I like a job where I can move around and work out. So then I just transitioned from that and then went into the aerials, which is like very similar skills, just different apparatuses.
Right. And so are you performing that for yourself or are you
I performed for my gym, and then I also did a fashion show performance.
Oh, cool.
I want to do more.
Okay, so that's something you're developing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You go ahead.
Well, it's been like 3 years, so it's just like it's a never-ending training.
I've had an aerialist on, and Brandy Cooling, and it's
cool.
It's like
It's like every skill you learn, it unlocks a new skill or a new skill to work towards.
Right. Yeah, you check a box and then it opens up more boxes. Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. Okay, let's talk about you said you have a fashion show coming up where you've design clothes and you're going to do live painting. What is that?
That's going to be the Walk of Fame fashion show. It's at Royal Lane Studios.
Okay.
And it's run by the same organization that does the Slay magazine fashion show.
Cool.
And it's really exciting because I've never displayed my clothes. I kind of just made it and just like it would stay in my house and nobody ever saw it. But this is the first time that I'm like, okay, let's actually get it out there. Okay,
cool. And then you're also, so this is just something that you're doing like independently, and then somebody actually is like, "Oh, cool! Like we're digging this."
No, I went to a casting call.
Oh,
where they did. Yeah, it would be nice if they could know, but sometimes they don't. People don't even know that.
But that's cool. So then you're putting yourself out there, and then they just like they pick.
Yeah, they pick.
Well, that's actually even cooler in a way because you beat a bunch of people out with your designs.
Yeah, I'm also gonna do the live painting there.
Okay.
It's a huge canvas. It's gonna be like taller than me.
Do you do a lot of that stuff?
I think I've done that like twice.
Okay. Yeah. Well, talk about your painting. Like, where did that come into your whole thing?
I used to just paint next to my dad a lot when I was growing up, and I would do a lot of his workshops. He does a lot of those.
Okay.
And I would just sit there, and I eventually learned a few things. But as a live art model, I also hear the instructor guiding the students, so that's always helped me a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I would just I wouldn't be able to move, or I wasn't able to move, so I would just like remember it and then try it later.
But that's really interesting. Like you're like, I don't think I've ever heard. I guess it's probably common where like an artist is going to pose to get the experience, but it's interesting. You kind of took it the other direction in a way.
Yeah,
I like that. It's
really fun.
Huh? Yeah, I would never have the guts for that.
What? You should try.
I think I'm past that point.
No, it's okay.
So all right, okay. When I first was talking to you, you have a degree in anthropology, master's in sociology. Like you had some actual work related to that, but you were saying that now you incorporate that into the artistic side. Like, can you kind of break that up a little bit? I
have tried to be an anthropologist for money, but it just feels like the only job available is market research. And I do like it, but I don't like the schedules. It's usually like 40 hours a week or more, or they expect you to do overtime.
Sure.
And then I don't like the way that that kind of system runs. It's very robotic. And I just like to dress up a lot, and I like to wake up whenever I want to.
Okay.
And I'm just glad I have it as a backup if
Yeah.
something ever happens. And I do use it in my everyday life, but
Yeah, well, can
I
you
don't want to.
go into that a little bit more? Like you were saying that you use that when you're like deciding on jobs or...
Yeah, it's just like the scheduling mostly that throws me off.
Mm.
And it kind of feels unethical to not really know. A lot of the stuff I do is data collection and extracting information about specific people that don't want to willingly give it up.
Sure.
So it feels weird a little bit.
Okay. I'm sorry. Maybe I misunderstood. I thought you were saying that you like kind of apply some of this stuff.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I guess I was like going on two different paths.
Yeah,
but,
that's cool.
So the way that I apply it to my everyday life is that I'm able to see people as Venn diagrams. And like if I'm looking for like a model group, I know where to find them. And I know who they are instantly for some reason.
Huh.
It's just like something that's in my mind. So like it helps a lot with connecting people. Like if there's somebody on one side who wants to be like a photographer of a specific kind of genre, I know who I could maybe introduce them to based on like maybe their interests.
Right. Okay.
Or
Okay.
like skill set or something. It's really fun to be able to connect people and see where it goes.
All right. So also I saw that you're a paid content creator. Is that right? You're like making like reels and like...
Yeah, that happens
Okay.
sometimes. It's not significant because it's based on views. And
Yeah.
I never really like harnessed things that would do well. I think obviously the thirst traps or pictures of dancing and stuff would do pretty well.
Sure.
But I've never really like taken it that seriously.
Right. I mean, I find that it's just you're spending so much time on your phone already.
Yeah.
It's like it's just extra time.
Yeah, well, I just don't want to be like, I never want to be told what to do, even if it's like by the algorithm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the theme. That's
It's
why.
terrible.
Well, I mean,
It's going to like modify my art form if I start focusing on it too much.
I see what you're saying. Like,
So I kind of just ignore it and I just check it sometimes. And
right. Okay.
yeah.
Huh. I didn't even think about that. Like, because like as soon as you start feeding the algorithm, then you have to create content that matches that, and then that's going to influence all your art, basically.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I wish I had more followers, but I don't have the brain power to like deal with the algorithm and all that BS.
It's
anymore.
too much.
It just keeps
It's
changing.
stressful.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So like you, the other thing is to see like you're like describe yourself as a nomad. I saw in an interview.
Kind of. I really enjoy that kind of lifestyle. I got an RV after my bachelor's and I started traveling, and that's kind of how I ended up here.
Okay.
But it's fun just like not knowing where you're going to go. You're going to meet so many people.
Did you come to DFW for a reason, or this is where your
I just
band
ended
broke
up
down?
here. I just kept getting a lot of gigs.
Oh, okay.
But my family's in Kentucky, and do you know where McAllen is?
Yeah.
Yeah, over there.
Okay.
Yeah, and I tried living in both places, but there's not that much going on. And I felt like I was like one of the biggest fish, and I
Yeah.
hate that feeling.
Yeah. No, this is a pretty big metroplex, as they say. What do you have coming up? We know about the fashion show. What else? What are you working on?
I think that's all I'm really focusing on, other than my podcast.
Oh, talk about
The
that.
podcast is fun. It's called Conversation Room,
Uh-huh.
and I got it because I wanted to give a lot of friends the opportunity to talk. And maybe like other people hearing them will say, oh, wow, that would be a cool person to meet or collaborate with. So that was like the main goal.
How long have you been doing that?
A month or so.
Oh, it just started.
Yeah, I just started.
Okay. And then I know you also like have in the future have some singing stuff you want to do.
Yeah, I really want to hone in on my music skills.
For me, like the thing that's interesting is that you have all these different interests, but it's like you don't want to be pinned down anywhere. So
yeah,
like,
that's what made it like really hard to even develop them.
so it's just it's hard to connect to
Yeah.
the thought process of like I don't have a favorite. I mean, I guess I can see how like every day
I think
is
it's just
different.
like sometimes I do have a favorite, and I'll do a lot of it.
Uh-huh.
Like sometimes I'll start sketching and I'll sketch for like 3 days straight, and then
Okay.
I'll be like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Right.
And then I'll go to like start doing modeling for a while. Then I get really bored of it.
Are you turning down like money gigs?
Yeah, I definitely turn down money gigs.
I mean,
Because I'm on like I have a bucket list in my mind, and that's my priority.
Okay.
And then like the money part is like, I think it'll just come eventually.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
it always comes, but
yeah,
it's like,
no, I agree.
if I were starving, then yeah, I think I'll be taking up a lot more
yeah,
things. But
sure. No, I mean, if
but-
you're focusing on your
Yeah.
art, I think the money does come if you're doing good work.
it's just hard to not get like a payoff in the end.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just like, I have like an obsession of these things. Like the reason why I started making specific songs was because I was like, these are sounds that I want to hear. Like I feel like I have to do it for other people that probably have the same interests.
You just want to show people how to. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to put my
What's
finger
your
on
theory?
this.
Because I don't know anything.
No, I mean, I'm trying to figure it out because like, so being an artist, it's like basically you create and you have no choice over that, and you want it to share it.
Yeah.
Right. That part I get. And then I get the part where you're going to do stuff that you will fit into that range, but you really don't want to do it, but you're getting paid, so you'll do it.
Yeah. I mean, I do like that I run into people there though. So that's always like,
oh yeah, meeting people on sets, and
it's
that's
so fun.
the best part. Honestly, I wish I was doing more sets stuff just for that aspect of it, and like theater and all that. You know, did we talk about? You said you were an exotic dancer, but you were other kinds of dancers, like a regular like.
I've always done hip hop and contemporary a lot of my life, and belly dancing. But the exotic dancer thing was like my first actual career. I was like, I'm gonna work maybe 4 days a week, and. Yeah, it turned into like a whole thing that I was like, maybe I'm going to do this forever. It was like 7 years.
Wow. Okay.
And then I was like, oh, I can't do these conversations, but I can do the actual movements. So that's why I'm doing the silks and the pole fitness and stuff like that.
The conversation, you mean like dealing with creeps, basically?
The conversation is the same every single time. It's always like, hi, what are you doing here? I'm sorry, you got in a breakup, and just like over and over again, hundreds of times a day.
You're like a therapist, but to the same script over and over.
But I like newness.
Yeah No, I mean, again, like I think part of the reason that it's fun to be an artist and have all these experiences, you're always meeting new people, you're always interacting with other creative people,
and artists are so fun. They're always doing something exciting,
or like weird, and it's like I want to know why you're doing that. Like,
I never think about the why. I'm always just like, what's your next thing?
Oh yeah, no, I'm always like, what? What?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't expect to get an answer, but I just like to kind of.
That's so interesting. Why do you think I do so many different things? What's your theory?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, like the if you're not paying attention, somebody that does a bunch of artistic things, a lot of times like, oh well, they're not great at one of them, but like I mean, just the fact that you're working at all these different things and getting rehired, like to me, rehired is the key. Yeah,
that's a really good one, and I get recommended a lot. Like people will say that they told or they heard about me through somebody when they asked for recommendations, and I love that because it shows that they're talking about like my skills. Yeah,
well, and also it's like, you're like for modeling, you're attractive. Like,
thank you.
So but that's not what matters. Like
it's very different,
right? I mean, like
a lot of different, like knowing how to sit still for a long time and how to do yoga sometimes.
Right. Well, and I would figure also a lot of it is like, do they like being around you? Like, are you easy to work with or not?
A lot of people don't really have like a soft presence. So it can be hard sometimes.
Yeah. And I mean, with models especially, I think there's a lot of attractive people who, because I lived in Hollywood, it's the same thing. It's like, you're attractive.
I want to know what that's like.
Well, it was in the early 90s, so it's nothing like what it was.
Hollywood it feels like different now.
Oh yeah, I mean, do
people even live there anymore?
I don't think people can afford it. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I know there are people there. I mean, I still have friends there, but I haven't been in a while, and I've been so enamored with Dallas that I think
Dallas feels like it could. I feel like it's turning into something.
Yeah,
right now. I think people are moving here right now. They're getting settled. They're learning their skills. And then like from an anthropological standpoint, like 10 years, people that are learning their skills right now will be like it.
Yeah. And I mean, like right now, there's people 10 years ago that like, including me, that were starting and that are now the ones that are kind of like the movers and the shakers.
Yeah. It's so exciting.
Yeah. And it keeps recycling, but I mean, we are living in different times. I mean, like it's hard to look back and compare and like look at the way LA grew. There's no comparisons here to that stuff. I mean, it's a different world, but but I do agree with you. Like that's one reason I came here is the creative. It just seems openly creative.
When did you move?
It was like 2016, 2015, something like that. So
it's an interesting time.
Yeah, I've seen Deep Ellum at like a really big peak, and then like I guess a dip, and I don't know. I haven't really been down here as much of late, but but I mean Dallas in general. Yeah, I mean there's a lot going on. The art scene is picking up big time.
Yeah,
and, so.
All the different kinds of art seem to be picking up, like the painters, and then a lot of films are being shot here in this area, or television episodes.
Yeah, TV and film is coming more. I mean, there's always been commercials like you're working on, and the trade shows is easy, but
I'm just excited to see where it goes. I've been seeing a lot of people that seem like they have potential, but they're kind of shy, And I'm just like wondering if if it'll just like pop off one of these days.
Huh? What do you mean? Like you can
Like a lot of designers don't seem to like showcase their stuff.
Are you talking about people your age or
just like in general?
In general.
I feel like it's like for the amount of people here, I don't think that there's anybody that's like, look at me. I'm like a super skilled, ready to go kind of like artist.
That's interesting.
Do you feel like there are?
Well, I do. I'm not following art. I mean, I feel like there are definitely musicians.
Or art, as in music.
Well,
designing.
musicians definitely, yes. Designers somewhat, but I think there's a lot of room for other creatives to step up.
I feel like it's just like they're sprinkling in.
Yeah, I mean, but I talked to somebody at the Dallas Comedy House, and it's like musicians, there's a clear path for promoting themselves. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem like other art forms have that. Like,
it's different.
Like there's these comedy groups, and I'm like, you should be hiring me or someone and promoting yourselves like a rock band.
Yeah.
And they're like, cool, but they don't get it, and so we haven't done it. I'm gonna work on that.
It's like interesting because there's a lot of places where you can go and listen to songs, but I don't know if they have. It's not that common for comedy, like to go and like put on a podcast.
Yeah,
it's like comedy.
Here, it's not as common. There is. I mean, so that's the funny thing. It's like when I started doing the podcast, then all of a sudden I see there's like all these Dallas podcasts that I've never heard of, and some of them are like in a bar, and it's just Tejano music they're talking about, or stuff like that. I mean, there's tons of sports ones. We won't even get into that. Like, there's like 50 Cowboys ones.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just speaks to, like you're saying, like there's a lot going on, but also I think there's a lot of room for people to jump in.
I feel like it's like brewing, but I'm from Kentucky over there. Like I compare it. I guess I compare this to what like I kind of thought it would be like Hollywood or like New York, like when I moved here.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like that. It feels like it's just like starting to.
Yeah, I mean, I get that because I've been in all the big cities at a time or another, and this does not feel like any of them.
But it's huge, though.
It's huge.
It shouldn't.
It just doesn't feel like that. I mean, it feels like if you have a goal here, you can make it happen if you just work at it. It doesn't feel like LA or Chicago or New York where you got to get online, and then you've got to get online to get the contact. Maybe you have to pay someone to get the contact, and even then that doesn't get you necessarily anywhere.
That's so stressful.
It's too much. I mean, that's the other thing about here. It's like those cities, there's a bigger drive for artists to start there and make their way there, and so there's more hungry, starving artists there. Here, it's like there's a little more relaxed vibe. There's less, like there's a lot of people where you can be like, oh my God, you're a musician. My friend's a musician. Like, that's cool. And it's like, you're not like not everyone you know is a musician, or actor.
Over there it is like that? Like everybody's a musician?
Well, not musician, but like in LA, like the entire city is based on, TV, film industry. And so if you're not an actor, you're a crew person, or you do insurance for the vehicles, the Teamsters. I mean, it's like crazy. Everybody's involved. If you're not, you're almost like, when I stopped doing stuff with it, I was like, oh, what am I doing in like, why am I spending this money? You age out in California, I feel like. At least I did.
What? I didn't know that.
Well, yeah, and also I just didn't, with acting, it's so competitive that I didn't have the credits when I was young. And then when I got older, I had a really good manager, and he was like, dude, I can't even get you in the door because like you don't have the resume. You know what? It was.
But it's competitive.
It's competitive. It was, at that point, it was probably really good to hear that because I was like, I can let it go.
Yeah.
'Cause that's the thing. Like you get to a certain point, like you're doing all these artistic things.
Yeah, well, I think it's sometimes if you're willing to accept the no, because I'm 5 feet. And so like I've gotten a no a lot for modeling. They start at like 6'8" or 5'8".
I was going to ask you about that, but now that you brought it up, let's get into it. Like,
it's terrible.
How are you doing runway stuff?
I talk to the designers a lot, and sometimes they'll say that they want me, and like it doesn't really matter what what everybody else says if the designer is fine. Right. Because usually the excuse is that, oh, sorry, the designer doesn't have any clothes for you or something.
Right. So because they're only designing for certain body types.
But if I know the designer and I'm able to talk to them, then they don't usually seem to care about the height. It's usually like something the other has made. Because nobody else seems to care if somebody is short in modeling. It's just that somebody says that it just can't happen. Like, I don't know who said that, but
I mean, as a complete not related to the industry, I was always assuming it's because certain like clothes will look better on certain tall people.
Mm-hmm. But that's still an opinion thing.
No, and I mean that's not true. Yeah. It's like if I'm trying to come up with a reason.
Well, as a
for
designer,
it,
I'm starting to realize that it distorts my pieces less if the person is thinner and taller.
Okay.
But if somebody's curvy, it starts to look like, if I did a flower, it might not look like a flower.
Right.
Like once.
But couldn't you design something that you knew that like it was
Yeah.
going to be a bigger body, and so the flower would look right that way? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it would have to be like planned.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting watching the times change, because everybody, I think, can be a model as long as somebody else could wear their clothes.
Okay.
So
yeah.
that's, I think I'm just like right in the beginning. Sometimes I'm like the only person that's 5 feet.
Yeah, no, I mean, you look different on a runway than other people do, but in a sense,
They put me in the front sometimes, so it's like beneficial.
okay, but also maybe it's good because like maybe that designer would get more attention because you're standing out. You're not like all the other tall. Like,
I think it's just like a tradition versus modern kind of thing. But I have tattoos. I'm Hispanic, and it's like a lot of things that is a combined kind of thing. But I think it's what helped me in the long run.
But you're like an alt model. I mean, like now that's like that's its own thing.
When I started, it wasn't though.
Okay.
It was just Caucasian blondes that were like really tall and skinny.
Right.
But it's just, I want to see everybody like just do whatever they want.
I think that's becoming the norm.
Yeah.
And maybe not at Fashion Week, but then again, you're at Fashion Week, so maybe.
So it's just fun to watch the changes.
Yeah. I mean,
and I think if you stay long enough, and I kind of did. It's been like maybe 15 years of modeling or doing runway and stuff. I think eventually people are like, oh, she has a pretty good resume. We want her in. So,
they trust you.
Yeah. I broke it in for like a few things.
All right. But you'll still be the only shorter person, maybe.
No, I think eventually they'll start sprinkling in.
But I'm saying when you've done shows, have you seen?
Yeah, most of the time.
Okay. Yeah. Huh.
But I just got used to it.
So, are there designers that are kind of looking for you, or you're
Yeah, there's a lot of designers or a lot of companies that are doing petite clothing now. And that's still not my style, because I'm considered, like, I have a curvy set or body type, and then I'm short, so it's not there yet, but I'm assuming one of these days somebody will say that there's like a market for that.
Oh, I mean, there should be now, obviously, like Joshua Ray
should
Walker.
No.
So he's a country singer, and he's a very large man, and he designs his own clothes because he's like, there's no cool clothes for big people, and he's got really flamboyant, flashy clothes, and they're cool. And so
it's really fun that's how a lot of things happen. I think people say, hey, I don't see the stuff that I like out there.
Well, that sounds like your whole theme. It's like, I don't like with your music, what you're talking about, and with like, it's like, I don't see it, so I'm gonna do it.
The coolest thing ever has started to happen. People are reaching out to me.
Okay.
And they'll say that they liked like something that I did, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, like, you said you get recognized, like, for what were you getting recognized?
Usually the modeling.
Okay.
Because whenever I do modeling, it's a lot of people around, and that's usually like the best promo, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
I get it, because that's why I'm doing a podcast. Like, even if as a photographer, I feel like it's not enough. Like, as a model, especially, I feel like, you can only continue doing it if you have other things that you're interested in doing, because it's, I mean, is it challenging? I mean, mentally, I know it's challenging physically.
It should be more challenging physically if I took it super seriously.
Okay, I see. Like, for a model that's trying to do it full time, but you just...
I feel like I should be in the gym more and just like doing a lot of yoga, a lot of meditation, acting classes.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to tell you what you should or shouldn't do, but
I do more practice on the job. Like yesterday, I did a shoot, and it was like 2 hours of yoga. So I was like, that counts as my workout.
Oh, that's a real workout.
Yeah.
But like, what sorts of stuff do you work on? Like the commercials? Like, is
the commercials, I've been doing a lot of acting classes, like on YouTube, and just like there's this thing called the cookbook method, where you like read the recipe, but you do it in different like emotions.
Oh,
I've been trying to do that.
Oh, interesting.
And I think it does help.
I tried to be an actor for so many years, and like, it was before all the social media stuff, and I'm like, yeah, if I was younger,
you should try.
Nah,
it's not an age thing. I think you get more of an advantage if you're not in the typical age.
Possibly, but I guess it's more about my interests and
if you don't like it, then it's totally
it's
terrible.
like, it's work. Like,
it's
my friend,
exploitative.
my friend was going to give me a part in LA that I was going to shoot here, and I was like, I just don't.
Is it too late?
Care.
I'll do it with you.
Well, it was like I was supposed to be some super villain, and I don't know.
Cool.
It's like, it's cool.
Super villain.
There was like a time where I would have just jumped in. I mean, when I moved here, I was going to Austin and auditioning, and I was on some show that they cut me mostly out of, but I got paid. And,
it happens.
I mean, I wasn't, exactly. It happens. But I just, I got behind the camera, and it's just where I belong. Like, I should have been a director.
That's a good feeling.
Time.
And you can always still be a director.
Yeah. Well, I am. I do videos and stuff, but I guess what I'm saying is, you know, like seems like you're straddling the line. I am not.
Yeah. I feel like
But,
that's nice. But I kind of just feel like they're all my callings, which made it terrible to pick.
I mean, it's not terrible. I just feel like
It's stressful. I feel like they're like my children.
Yeah, I mean, like your calendar must be crazy.
Well, I do have a very strict calendar.
Okay.
I have sometimes. I try and schedule as much as possible.
Yeah.
And then stick to that if I can.
Yeah, in the same way. I try to fill it all up, and then hopefully I'm not going to be like sick that day or whatever it is. Yeah. But even today I had a cancellation on the podcast. Like
in the morning?
Yeah, another guest. Yeah, it's like it seems like
is
every week.
Is that common with artists?
Yes. Yes.
I don't know why we're like that.
Well, it's common with people, but artists too. Yeah. No. I mean, I think it's that you know, like you said, like you don't like to wake up early. You don't like to do like a lot of artists. If you get to a certain point, like you only have to like bow down to the alarm clock on certain days, and you don't have to do it.
You have to go to the doctor or something.
Yeah, or like when you have that gig, like today I'm doing this gig, I have to be at this time. But then the next 4 days, you're like, oh, I don't even have to go anywhere if I don't feel like it. Sometimes, you know.
That's funny. That's how my life is.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like I cannot get into a sleep routine because like sometimes I'm out till 1, and other times I'm up at 7. It's like you never know.
I try and do a lot on one day sometimes, just
that
to
too.
get it. So the other days I can maybe do painting or something.
Right. Yeah, I like to have clear days so I can relax, but I
feel like it's hard to do like mix. Like it's hard for me to do painting and modeling and other things like in one day.
Okay,
it's like I don't know.
Well, yeah,
I think it's like the energy
sense.
part.
Like your brain has to get into a certain space to paint. I mean, and to model. I mean, gosh, I can't even think about
I feel like
how.
I could do modeling on autopilot.
Interesting. Okay, because I was going to say
because of the face is required.
Okay.
But if it's like acting, it's more. It could be whiplashy, like to be like sad and excited, angry.
What do you mean the faces? You mean like just
with the typical modeling that I do is like a relaxed face.
Okay.
It doesn't really exert a lot of like, unless it's like a sports shoot.
Okay.
Where you're like running and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's really relaxed.
Interesting.
But acting can be exhausting.
Yeah, acting, you never know what you're gonna get. Oh God, I had some.
It's fun though.
It's fun, but I had some gigs I would have turned around and left if I didn't need the money.
Like what?
There was like a Smirnoff Ice, and they like gave us an address in San Pedro, which is like where the water is, but I didn't think about it, and so the shoot was on a boat, and I cannot do boats. Like
were you like motion sick?
Oh gosh, like the worst. Like because they took us out to this choppy water we were under the deck. And I was just immediately sick. And there wasn't even a stunt. That was just, it was just the Smirnoff Ice thing where we were
being on the water is a stunt.
Oh yeah. Well, they should have paid me extra.
Yeah.
And then like, I remember we came back to shore. They didn't even make me work. They were like, you can just stay asleep. They paid me, but they're like, you can stay asleep.
Aww.
And then we got back to shore and they're like, who wants to come back? And I was like, bye. Normally, because like commercial extras, like you make a lot of money doing that. Like I was in the union and everything, but
That sounds hectic. I feel like they should have told you.
They absolutely should have told us, but like I guess it didn't occur to them that like anyone be like really bad motion sickness.
Yeah,
but
I think that's part of the job or part of the fun of the job. You just like never know what kind of exciting thing.
Other
I think
than
everything
that,
is exciting.
Yeah, other than that moment, sure.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I got the motion sickness issue from doing a roller coaster commercial in college where I rode it 45 times. So
wow, and then it just like never went away.
It's just when I get on the sea or fly, I have an issue.
Oh, that's so terrible.
Yeah.
I wish there was a cure for that.
Me too. I mean, I can fly. It's just not. I don't get on boats.
That's good that you can still fly. I can't imagine you having to carriage all the way over there.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so this is completely got casual, which is fine. But so what do you want people to go look for you in coming up?
Creative direction, maybe. And I want to use my anthropology degree and sociology degree. And I guess if they need help with connections, I know how to find anybody.
Okay. Well, elaborate just a little bit. You mean like if someone's like, I want this kind of person to help me with this job. Yeah,
like if I need, or if somebody needs like a specific manager who does a specific kind of contract work or something. Like I'm good at finding stuff like that.
Okay.
Or if they're like singers that are looking for like other kinds of people in their group. Yeah.
You charge for this? It's just a skill?
No, I just do it for fun.
Okay.
Because I just like to see where it goes.
People are going to hit you up for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
I haven't really started advertising it yet.
Okay.
So I was like.
I mean, you are
I
now,
started
as we speak. You are.
This is the first time. But I started a group chat on Instagram because people kept asking me to help them find people. Like models were looking for photographers were looking for like models, and just everyone was like asking me, and I was like, let's just make this group chat and then everybody can post in there and then talk to each other.
All right.
And it seemed like it went really well. Like I saw a lot of like big projects come from that. It just feels nice.
Cool. We'll link that chat in the notes for sure.
But because I think most people are locked into their groups. A lot of people only seem to talk to like-minded or very specifically small niches, which is a good thing because I think they're like practicing and getting really specialized. But after a while, I think people need to mix a little bit.
Absolutely. And also as an artist, you need to have fresh groups of people to interact with, both to be inspired by and also to support back and forth the art, you know. I
just like seeing really big projects like emerge. That only happens if you have all the members of the team. Yeah. Crew and like the front line and the advertisers and marketing and all that stuff together. Yeah, no, that's important. I've been trying to build a team myself, and it's tricky. What kind of team? You know, just like if I want to do video, like a makeup person and a assistant, and, you know, like just different people that like be available to do stuff. And for what Let me know. I like doing things. Okay, well, you're on the list then. Cool. All right. Well, hey, it was really fun having you here, Surtzy. We're going to be looking out for all the stuff you do. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Yeah, for sure. I'd like to thank my guest, Surtzy. We've got links in the show notes for all her stuff. Thank you again to the Deep Ellum Community Center for letting us record there. Theme song, Unstoppable by Salim Narala. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, follow, all the good stuff, and share it with your friends. We'll see you next time.